Men, let me be brutally honest with you. You're missing opportunities every single day. That married woman who smiled at you a little too long, that wasn't friendly, that was a signal. The one who accidentally touched your arm during conversation, that wasn't an accident. As a woman, I know what we do when we're starving for attention our husbands stopped giving us. And today, I'm exposing all of it. But before I reveal these secrets that most women would never admit out loud, I need you to do something. Hit that like button right now. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to change how you see every interaction with married women. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because I'm pulling back the curtain on female psychology in ways that will make you see the world differently. And drop a comment telling me which signal you've noticed but never understood until now. Your engagement helps more men discover these truths. Now, let me tell you why I'm qualified to speak on this. I'm a woman. I've been in rooms with other women when they talk about men they're attracted to. I've seen my friends, my colleagues, even family members send these signals. And I've watched countless men completely miss them because they've been taught that married women are off limits and would never show interest. That's naive. Marriage doesn't eliminate desire. It doesn't stop a woman from craving attention, excitement, or validation, especially when her husband has stopped providing those things. I'm not here to tell you what to do with this information. I'm here to make sure you're not walking through life blind to what's happening right in front of you. Some of you will use this knowledge to avoid messy situations. Others might use it differently. That's your choice. My job is simply to decode what we do and why we do it. Let's start with something most men completely overlook. The way she positions her body when you're around tells you everything. When a married woman is interested in you, her body betrays her before her words ever will. I'm talking about the subtle shifts that happen unconsciously. She'll angle her torso toward you even when she's supposedly engaged in conversation with someone else. Her feet will point in your direction. If you're standing in a group, watch where her body naturally gravitates. Does she keep finding reasons to stand closer to you? Does she create opportunities to be in your personal space? Here's what's happening psychologically. When we're attracted to someone, our bodies instinctively orient toward them. It's primal. We want to be closer to what attracts us. A woman who's unhappy in her marriage is subconsciously seeking that closeness she's missing at home. So when she positions herself near you repeatedly, when she finds excuses to invade your space just slightly, when she leans in when you talk even though she can hear you perfectly fine, she's sending a clear message. I remember watching a friend of mine at a work event. Her husband was across the room, barely acknowledging her existence. But there was this colleague, a man who actually listened when she spoke, who made eye contact, who treated her like she mattered. Within 20 minutes, I watched her entire body language shift. She wasn't just talking to him anymore. She was leaning into him, touching her hair, exposing her neck, and positioning herself so that she was slightly between him and anyone else who might interrupt. Her body was screaming what her mouth couldn't say. Notice me, see me, want me. Most men in that room saw nothing. They thought she was just being friendly, but I saw it immediately because I know exactly what that looks like. When a woman feels invisible in her marriage, she becomes hyper-aware of any man who makes her feel seen, and her body responds accordingly. Then there's the eye contact that lingers just a fraction too long. This is one of the most obvious signals, yet men miss it constantly. When a married woman looks at you and holds your gaze for just 1 or 2 seconds longer than socially necessary, that's not coincidence. When she looks away and then looks back to see if you're still watching her, that's calculation. When her eyes drop to your lips during conversation and then dart back up, hoping you didn't notice but also hoping you did, that's desire. Women understand the power of eye contact in a way most men don't. We know that prolonged eye contact creates intimacy. It creates tension. It communicates interest without requiring us to say a single word that could be used against us later. A married woman who's interested in you will use eye contact as her primary weapon because it gives her plausible deniability. If you call her out, she can claim she was just being attentive, just being polite, just being friendly. But here's the truth. We're not that friendly. When we hold eye contact with a man, When we create that triangle gaze moving from eye to lips, when we look at him from across a room and don't look away when he catches us, we're communicating interest. We're testing. We're seeing if he'll respond. We're creating a private moment in a public space. I've done this myself, not proudly, but honestly. There was a time when my relationship felt dead, when I felt completely unseen by my partner. And there was someone else, someone who actually noticed me. I found myself making eye contact with him constantly, at meetings, at social gatherings, in passing conversations. And I held it just long enough to make him wonder, just long enough to create a question in his mind. That's exactly what unhappy married women do. We create questions because our marriages have stopped providing answers to our need for connection. The accidental touch that happens far too frequently to be accidental. Let me be clear about something. Women are spatially aware. We know exactly where our bodies are in relation to yours. So when a married woman keeps touching your arm during conversation, when she brushes against you in passing, when she finds reasons to make physical contact, there is nothing accidental about it. Touch is one of the most powerful forms of communication. It breaks down barriers, it creates intimacy, it sends electrical signals through the body that words simply cannot replicate. A woman who's starving for physical affection in her marriage will unconsciously seek it elsewhere. And she'll start with seemingly innocent touches that test your response. Watch how she touches you. Is it fleeting and apologetic, or does her hand linger for just a moment? When she touches your arm to emphasize a point, does she pull away immediately or does she let her hand rest there? When you're walking together and she accidentally bumps into you, does she create distance afterward or does she stay close? These micro moments matter because they reveal intent. A married woman who's simply being friendly will maintain appropriate physical boundaries, but one who's interested, one who's craving touch she's not getting at home, will constantly test those boundaries. She'll find reasons to be close enough to touch you. She'll initiate contact in ways that seem natural but happen with suspicious frequency. I watched a colleague do this with devastating effectiveness. She was unhappy at home, feeling completely disconnected from her husband. But there was this man at work who made her laugh, who engaged with her ideas, who treated her with respect. Every conversation they had involved touch, a hand on his shoulder, fingers brushing his arm, standing close enough that their bodies almost touched. She was rebuilding her sense of desirability through these micro connections because her marriage had destroyed it. And here's what most men don't understand. We need these touches to feel alive. When our partners stop touching us, stop initiating physical affection, stop making us feel desired, we start seeking that validation elsewhere. Not necessarily through affairs, but through these small moments of connection that remind us we're still attractive, still noticeable, still worth touching. She asks you personal questions that go beyond casual conversation. Small talk is safe. Small talk maintains boundaries. But when a married woman starts asking you deeper questions, when she wants to know about your dreams, your struggles, your perspectives on relationships, she's not just making conversation. She's creating intimacy. This is something women excel at, building emotional connection through questions. We know that the fastest way to someone's heart is through showing genuine interest in who they are. So when an unhappy married woman meets a man who represents something her husband doesn't, she'll start digging deeper. She'll ask about your life, your passions, your thoughts. She'll remember details from previous conversations and reference them later, showing you that she's not just listening politely, she's actually invested. What's happening here is emotional infidelity before physical infidelity. She's creating a connection with you that should exist with her husband but doesn't. She's sharing parts of herself with you that her marriage has neglected. And she's inviting you to do the same. Pay attention to the questions she asks. Are they surface level, or does she want to understand who you really are? Does she ask about your relationship status, your happiness, your satisfaction with life? Does she create conversations that allow both of you to reveal vulnerabilities? These aren't random curiosities, these are strategic openings. I've been that woman asking those questions. Not because I was planning anything, but because I was desperate for meaningful conversation. When you spend years with someone who stops asking how you are, who stops caring about your thoughts, who treats you like furniture in their life, you start craving intellectual and emotional stimulation. And when you find a man who provides that, you chase it. You create opportunities for deeper conversation. You ask questions that build bridges. The dangerous part is how innocent it all seems. She's not propositioning you, she's just talking. But those conversations are building something. They're creating an alternate reality where she feels valued, heard, and interesting. And the more you engage, the more she wants to continue. She complains about her husband, but in subtle ways that paint her as the victim. This is manipulation at its finest, and I say that with full awareness of how calculated it is. When a married woman is interested in you, she'll start revealing cracks in her marriage. Not aggressively, not with dramatic proclamations, but through carefully placed comments that make you see her as underappreciated, overlooked, and deserving of better. She'll mention how her husband works too much, how he doesn't listen, how they've grown apart, how she feels lonely even though she's married. She's not asking for your pity exactly. She's framing herself as available emotionally, even if not technically available legally. This serves multiple purposes. First, it lowers your guard. If her marriage is already broken, if she's already unhappy, then any connection between you feels less like home wrecking and more like rescuing. Second, it invites you to be the contrast. You listen, you pay attention, you make her feel valued, you become the evidence that her husband is failing. Third, it creates justification. If things escalate, she can tell herself and you that her marriage was already over anyway. I've watched women execute this strategy flawlessly. They never badmouth their husbands viciously. That would make them look bitter. Instead, they drop small comments laced with resignation and sadness. He forgot our anniversary again. We barely talk anymore. I can't remember the last time he really looked at me. Each comment is a brick removed from the wall that should protect her marriage. Each comment invites you closer. The psychology here is about creating perceived availability. She wants you to see her as emotionally single even while legally married. She wants you to understand that pursuing her wouldn't be stealing her from a happy situation, but rather offering her an escape from an unhappy one. She makes herself available to you in ways that exceed normal friendship. Availability is one of the clearest signals a woman can send. When a married woman consistently makes time for you, responds to your messages quickly, rearranges her schedule to see you, and prioritizes interaction with you over other commitments, she's showing you that you matter to her in a way that transcends casual friendship. Think about it practically. Everyone is busy, everyone has obligations, but we make time for what we value. When a married woman goes out of her way to be available to you, when she finds excuses to extend conversations, when she suggests getting coffee or meeting up outside of necessary contexts, she's investing in something that has nothing to do with her marriage. This availability often comes with justifications. I needed a break anyway. I had to run errands in your area. My husband's working late again. These aren't coincidences. These are manufactured opportunities. She's creating space in her life for you because you're filling a void her marriage has created. And here's where it gets interesting. She'll make herself available in ways that don't raise immediate suspicion. She won't necessarily suggest late-night meetings or obviously inappropriate scenarios. Instead, she'll create plausibly innocent opportunities: lunch during work, coffee after an event, helping you with something that gives her a legitimate reason to spend time alone with you. I know women who've become masters at this. They construct entire justifications for why they need to see certain men regularly. He's helping me with a project. We're working on something together. He gives me advice on things my husband doesn't understand. All of it sounds innocent, none of it is. The real tell is consistency. If she's repeatedly available for you, repeatedly finding reasons to be in your presence, repeatedly carving out time that could and should be spent elsewhere, you're not just a friend, You're someone she's choosing over the person she married. She mirrors your body language and creates synchronicity. Mirroring is one of the most subconscious forms of attraction. When we're drawn to someone, we naturally begin to match their energy, their posture, their movements. It's our body's way of creating harmony and connection. When a married woman starts mirroring you, she's not doing it consciously most of the time. Her attraction is manifesting physically. Watch for it. If you lean back, does she lean back? If you cross your arms, does she do the same a moment later? If you're holding a drink, does she pick up hers at the same time? These synchronized movements create a sense of partnership, a feeling that you're on the same wavelength. This goes beyond simple mimicry. It's about energy matching. If you speak slowly and thoughtfully, she'll adjust her pace to match yours. If you're relaxed and calm, she'll mirror that composure. If you're animated and expressive, she'll become more expressive too. This synchronicity creates comfort and familiarity. It makes conversations flow naturally. It makes time together feel effortless. The reason this matters is because mirroring builds rapport faster than almost any other nonverbal behavior. When two people are in sync physically, they begin to feel in sync emotionally. A married woman who's dissatisfied at home will subconsciously seek this synchronicity with someone who gives her what her marriage lacks. I remember noticing this in myself once. There was someone I found intellectually stimulating, someone who made me feel heard and respected. I didn't plan to mirror his gestures, but I caught myself doing it constantly. When he laughed, I laughed. When he leaned forward, I leaned forward. My body was creating alignment that my conscious mind wasn't ready to acknowledge. That's the power of attraction. It bypasses logic and expresses itself through these subtle physical cues. She shares intimate details about her life that exceed normal boundaries. Intimacy isn't just physical. Often it starts with emotional vulnerability. When a married woman begins sharing personal struggles, fears, dreams, or frustrations with you, things she hasn't shared with her husband, or perhaps things she has, but he dismissed, she's inviting you into her inner world. This is strategic, even if she doesn't realize it. By sharing intimate details, she's creating a bond that feels special and exclusive. She's making you her confidant. She's positioning you as someone who understands her in ways her husband doesn't or can't. This emotional intimacy often precedes and justifies physical intimacy because it creates the feeling that you already have a relationship, just not a sexual one yet. Pay attention to what she shares. Is it surface level information anyone would know, or is she revealing vulnerabilities? Is she telling you about her disappointments, her insecurities, her unmet needs? Is she sharing things and then saying, I don't usually tell people this, or I haven't told anyone else this, but you? These are not accidental disclosures. These are invitations to deeper connection. The psychology here is about creating perceived uniqueness. She wants you to feel like you occupy a special place in her life, like you're different from everyone else. Because if you feel special, you're more likely to reciprocate with emotional investment of your own. And once both parties are emotionally invested, physical boundaries become much easier to justify crossing. I've seen this pattern repeatedly. Women who feel emotionally abandoned in their marriages will seek emotional affairs first. They'll find someone who listens, who cares, who remembers, who responds, and they'll build intimacy through these conversations, these confessions, these moments of vulnerability. By the time anything physical happens, they've already justified it internally because the emotional affair has been ongoing for months. She laughs at everything you say, even when it's not that funny. Laughter is a tool of attraction. When a woman is drawn to a man, she'll laugh more freely, more frequently, and more enthusiastically than the humor objectively warrants. This isn't deception. It's her body's natural response to pleasure. Being around you makes her happy, so she laughs. Your presence gives her something to smile about. But there's also strategy here. Women know that men feel validated when they make us laugh. Laughter signals approval, enjoyment, and connection. So when a married woman wants to encourage your attention, she'll laugh at your jokes, your observations, your comments. She'll make you feel funny, charming, and entertaining. Watch for the quality of her laughter. Is it polite and brief, or genuine and extended? Does she laugh and then immediately refocus elsewhere? Or does her laughter linger while she maintains eye contact with you? Does she touch you while laughing, placing her hand on your arm or shoulder? This behavior is about reinforcement. She's rewarding you for your presence and your interaction. She's creating positive associations. Every time you make her laugh, you unconsciously feel good about yourself, and you associate that good feeling with her. It's a feedback loop that strengthens attraction on both sides. I'll be honest, I've used laughter as a weapon of attraction. When I wanted someone to feel good around me, when I wanted to encourage their attention, I laughed more. Not fake laughter, but amplified responsiveness. I gave their humor more credit than it probably deserved because I wanted them to feel valued and interesting. And it worked. Men would gravitate toward me because I made them feel like the most interesting person in the room. An unhappy married woman does this instinctively. She's been feeling gray and invisible for so long that when someone makes her feel light and happy, she responds enthusiastically. Her laughter is part genuine joy and part strategy. It's her way of saying, I enjoy you. Keep talking to me. Keep making me feel this way. She finds excuses to text or message you outside of necessary communication. In today's world, communication has never been easier or more dangerous for marriages. When a married woman starts initiating text conversations with you that have no practical purpose, when she sends you memes, articles, or random thoughts throughout the day, when she reaches out just to say hello or check in, she's building a connection that exists outside her marriage. These messages serve multiple functions. First, they keep you present in her mind and keep her present in yours. Second, they create a private channel of communication that her husband likely doesn't monitor closely. Third, they build anticipation and excitement. Each notification from her creates a little spike of interest, a small moment of connection throughout the day. Pay attention to timing. Does she message you during work hours when her husband isn't around? Does she reach out late at night when she should be spending time with her spouse? Does she send you messages early in the morning, making you one of the first people she thinks about when she wakes up? Also notice the content. Are her messages practical and transactional, or are they personal and emotionally driven? Does she share things about her day, her feelings, her observations? Does she ask about yours? Does she create inside jokes or references that only the two of you understand? This digital intimacy is incredibly powerful because it's constant and private. Unlike in-person interactions that require planning and opportunity, texting allows for continuous connection. A married woman who's investing in this kind of communication with you is building a relationship that runs parallel to her marriage. She's creating a space where she can be the version of herself that her marriage doesn't accommodate. I know women who've carried on entire emotional affairs exclusively through text. They never crossed physical boundaries, but they were more emotionally intimate with men who weren't their husbands than with the men they married. Hours spent messaging, sharing, joking, supporting, all of it hidden in plain sight behind a screen. Now, I want to pause here for a moment and address something crucial. I'm showing you these signals not to encourage you to pursue married women, but to make you aware of what's happening around you. Some of you will use this information to avoid complicated situations. Some of you will use it to understand dynamics you've experienced but couldn't name. And some of you might make choices I wouldn't personally recommend, but that are ultimately your responsibility. What I want you to understand is this. These signals exist because something is broken. A happily married woman, a woman who feels cherished and desired and seen by her husband, doesn't send these signals. She doesn't need to. She's already fulfilled. But countless women are married and miserable. They're married and lonely. They're legally committed to men who've stopped trying, stopped caring, stopped seeing them. And those women are desperate for someone to remind them that they're still desirable, still interesting, still worth pursuing. That's what these signals represent. They're not invitations to destroy marriages. They're cries for validation from women who've forgotten what it feels like to be wanted. As men, you have a choice in how you respond. You can be the man who recognizes these signals and steps back, respecting boundaries even when they're being offered to you to cross. You can be the man who sees a woman's vulnerability and chooses not to exploit it. Or You can be the man who takes what's being offered, knowing that it comes with complications, consequences, and ethical questions that don't have easy answers. I'm not here to make that choice for you. I'm here to make sure you see what's in front of you clearly, because too many men walk through life completely oblivious to the signals women send. They miss opportunities, they misread situations, and they fail to understand the depth of female psychology. These 10 signals I've shared with you today are real. They're based on how women actually behave when we're attracted to someone we shouldn't be attracted to. They're based on the strategies we use, consciously and unconsciously, to create connection when we're feeling disconnected from our marriages. And here's the final truth that might be hardest to accept. The men who receive these signals most frequently are not the most attractive, the richest, or the most successful. They're the men who pay attention. They're the men who listen. They're the men who make women feel seen. If you're that man, if you're someone who shows up with presence, with attentiveness, with genuine interest in the people around you, you've probably been receiving these signals for years without realizing it. That woman at work who always seems to need your help with projects. That friend's wife who laughs a little too hard at your jokes. That married woman at the gym who always ends up on the machine next to yours. They're not coincidences, they're choices. Now that you know what to look for, you'll start seeing these patterns everywhere. And what you do with that awareness is entirely up to you. Before you go, I need you to do something for me. If this video opened your eyes to dynamics you've experienced but never understood, hit that like button. If you want more raw, honest insights into female psychology, subscribe and turn on notifications. And drop a comment telling me, which of these signals have you noticed in your own life? Have you been blind to them until now? Or did you always suspect but never had confirmation? Your stories help other men recognize their own experiences. This isn't just about me teaching you. This is about building a community of men who understand the reality of modern relationships and female behavior. So engage, share your perspective, and let's continue this conversation. Because knowledge is power, and you deserve to walk through the world with your eyes wide open.